Most people think that their AI systems go wrong because bad AI, because the prompt is wrong, because the technology is wrong, because the LLM is wrong, right? Not so. The problem is usually not in the technology. The problem, in most cases, is in the architecture. In the last 2 months, we had 3 clients coming to us trying to launch an AI system, which we have it running already, and they were trying to do it by themselves. But they failed. And the reason was not technology, the reason was that they had a problem in the architecture. They didn't follow one or more of the AI system architecture rules, which we will cover today. And thanks to these rules, if you follow them, you will make your AI systems reliable and efficient. So let's look at them. If we haven't met yet, I'm Yuri from NinjaBot, where we help small and medium-sized businesses implement AI and automations in their processes. On average, we save them over 2,000 hours per year, and we've helped hundreds of them already. Everything that we will cover today is based on our experiences, and it's something that we've tested in the field. If you look at the data, Gartner report says that between 2024 and 2025, there's 14 times more inquiries for AI systems. So there is a huge demand for AI systems, but there's only 1 in 4 AI systems that goes into production. It means that only 1 in 4 AI systems is going to be live. The rest is going to be thrown away. And if you compare it to classic software development, here we're talking about 50% or 75% or even 80% of software that goes live after it starts its production. So what is the difference? Is it that AI is not reliable? Is it that it's not ready? Because this is something that you would naturally say, right? It's because of the technology, it's not ready. But the problem is not that technology is not ready. The problem is that it's so easy to deploy AI agent or AI system that businesses or developers don't follow the most basic rules of software development, of integrations, and of automation. So everything that we will cover today are the most important pieces of the architecture of your AI systems, and if you do them right, you will have your AI systems more reliable. So let's dive in. The first and most important thing about any software architecture is to understand your process. This is the most important foundation of any digital technology, because any tool that you're going to use is just a tool. It needs to help you with a specific process. So if you have the best CRM, but your process doesn't include CRM, then it's worthless for your process. And the same goes for AI systems. If you want to have reliable AI systems, you need to understand the process that you are going to use them in. So first, you have to map your whole process. You have to map every step of your process. And based on those steps, you need to make the architecture of the AI system. So you need to make decision, where goes automation, where goes AI, where is human in the loop, where you need a user who's actually checking the whole system if it works or not. So first, you have to map whole process as it is right now, and based on that, you need to choose where to put technology. If you do this in the beginning, if you do it properly, then you will be able to avoid situations where your AI system fails just because there is a situation that AI cannot solve. So imagine that you have AI lead qualification system. So you have a website, you have a visitor, he fills out the form, and then this form is automatically saved into your CRM. Your AI agent checks the form and it starts text message conversation with this prospect, with this client. What happens if the prospect is asking for something that you cannot provide? What happens if the prospect leave, if they don't continue with the conversation? What happens if they continue with the conversation but they reply after 36 hours? So you need to think about the process. You need to think about each specific scenario that can happen within this process and then prepare it in your architecture for the AI system. This brings us to rule number 2, which is to control the inputs for your AI system. All the AI systems are only as strong as the inputs that you give them. Garbage in, garbage out. If you don't provide good data with a good structure, then your AI system will hallucinate and it will give you bad answers. So how you solve this is by doing something that I call AI sandwich. So you take automation, which prepares the data for AI, then you do the AI part, and then you have another automation that takes the data from AI and it distributes the data on the places where you need it, or you can send it to another system, you can send it to client. But the whole thing is that first, you need to have good data and you need to have them structured properly so AI understands them. So the way how you do it is that you collect the data from the sources that you need it. So for example, if you have AI system for lead qualification, you have data in your CRM. You can check your project management tool if you have some history with this contact. You can check website to qualify the lead based on the information on their website. You can check multiple sources, collect all the data, and then prepare them in a structure that your AI will understand. So again, you take all the data and you structure them. So first row can be the name, the second row can be the phone number, the third row can be name of the company. And you continue like that. You have all the information ready for the AI system. So the AI system will have a better prompt, which will predict what data it will get. And based on that data, it will give you the exact output you are looking for. And because you have an architecture like that, it will not hallucinate. It will give you exact answers that you are looking for. You can do this with n8 and you can do this with make.com, but make sure that your AI system is getting enough data and in a structure that it understands. So we've covered first two rules, and the third one is about the output. What can your AI system access? What can it do? Where can it actually write the outputs? This is very important because sometimes you don't want your AI system to do something. Sometimes you just want it to prepare the output and then you want to take it away from it. So you need to understand one concept. There is a difference between AI assist systems and AI handle systems. So the AI assist is a system that you call it when you need it. So imagine that you are doing the lead qualification by yourself and you need to do a scoring of the prospect. So you call this system, it gives you the scoring, and then you get the output and you use it yourself. The difference is that when you have AI handle system, it does it everything by itself. It doesn't need your input, it doesn't need your command to do its work. It's usually triggered by something else in the process. So imagine that you have this web form, someone fills out the form on your website, and all the information is stored in the CRM, which is used as a trigger in this AI system, and AI automatically gets the data, does the qualification, does the scoring, and then gives you the output. It can even communicate with the client. But sometimes you don't want it to communicate. Sometimes you just want it to make a draft of your email, and then you open your inbox and you see all the drafts ready, you just check them, you do the edits, and then you can send it. But what is really important is for you to think about it in advance. It means, what do I want my AI system to do? Do I want it to be able to send the email by itself, or do I want it to do it when I want to do it? So usually you don't want it to behave on your name. So when we are doing AI sales development systems, usually we give them their own profile, we give them their own name and look, and this is the way how they communicate. They don't communicate with your name, they communicate by themselves. So if they screw it up, you can always say it was an AI system. If it's your email that they are sending it from, you don't want it to be sent just by themselves. But same applies to your AI systems. If you give them access to your databases, if you give them access to write or to edit data in your database, in your CRM or somewhere else, you need to make sure what data it can edit, what data it can add, what data it can remove or delete. This is very important because you need to give your AI guide rails what it cannot do, what it cannot edit, the same way how you're giving it guide rails what it can do. So make sure that your AI system is not deleting data just by itself, because maybe you will not notice. Maybe it will delete the data and nobody will notice until it's too late. How to make sure that this works well is again AI sandwich. So if we have a top bun which prepares the data, then we have the meat, which is AI, which does something with the data, it transforms the data, it creates new answers, new ideas. Then we take the data from AI and we do another automation where we specify where to put the data. If we put it into email draft, if we put it into CRM, and if we are putting it into CRM, which specific fields are we putting it into? In that way, you will make sure that all the data that you will have from AI will get stored in the right places and in the right format. The rule number 4 is one agent, one job. The problem is that when people see the capabilities of AI systems, they think they can solve anything. So they can help you grow your plans. They can help you grow your business. They can help you with parenting. But they cannot do everything at once because it leads into very complex systems that lead to hallucinations, bad outputs, bad information. So the way how you solve this is to cut your process into specific jobs that are within your process and then create AI agent for each specific job in the process. So again, if we have AI system that's doing AI sales rep work, then we want to separate it into multiple agents and each of them has its own job. But before that, there is an AI agent who's responsible for lead qualification based on the information from the website. But before him, there's another agent who's responsible for scraping the data from the internet and from the social media and putting all this data together. So you see, it's something that one person, one human would do, but here we separate it into 3 different AI agents. And each of them is doing his work on 100%. He's doing it very reliably because the whole prompt makes sure that this piece of the process is done very well. It's done 100% of the times, it's done perfectly. So this is the problem that many AI system has. People or businesses, they are looking for AI systems that they're very complex. They solve everything. Then it leads into solving nothing. Because if you take the whole process and you want to complete all 100% of the steps, then you will have failures. You will have steps that you will never think of. You will always have wrong data, you will have some exceptions, something that will not work really well, and then the whole system is not reliable and you have to fix it constantly. So the solution how we do that and how we achieve much better reliability is to cut the process into specific steps, and maybe we can choose only 80% of the whole process because we only choose the steps in the process which are easy to automate or to use AI there, but we do them so they are 100% reliable. So everything that goes through this step is done perfectly. So the difference is that if you have a very complex system that is trying to cover the whole process, it's not really reliable and you have to fix it constantly. So you're always nervous, is this going to work or not? On the other hand, if you have a system that, okay, it doesn't cover the whole process, it's covering 50%, 60%, 80% of the process, but all the steps which are being done by the AI system are done completely without failure, then you know, okay, there's the rest of the process which we have to cover, but the rest is done. It's done and it's ready, and I know I can count on it. So this system, you can build it like a snowball. You can build on top of it more AI system, more improvements. So in the end, you're building something that works much better in total, and you can sleep better, that's for sure. And the 5th rule, which is the one that is most overlooked, even though it's one of the most important things of the whole AI system, is when to stop. Because sometimes the AI system cannot solve it by itself. Sometimes we have to call the human. That's why we have a human in the loop. Because sometimes the AI system cannot solve it by itself. That's the reason why we have human in the loop. And this is the time where we stop the system and we call the human to the loop. Because when you're testing the automations, you're testing the ideal scenarios. Maybe you have some scenarios that you want to test that you know that there will be mistakes. In reality, what happens is that you're going to have messy data. You're going to have scenarios which you never anticipated. And your AI system has to be ready to react in these situations. So in general, we have 3 situations, or we have 3 questions that you have to answer when you're doing architecture of your AI system. The first question is, what happens to the AI system when the data is not complete, when the AI system is missing the data? So you remember when in step number 2, in the rule number 2, we were checking if we have the right data. When we are building the top bun, we are making sure that we are getting the right data. But what happens if we don't get the data? What happens if the client doesn't put the information about the company? If they have no website, if we cannot do the scoring? What happens after that? Can we still score the client, or can we continue, or do we have to bring in a human into the loop? So you have to make this decision in advance. The question number 2 is, what happens if the process doesn't go as anticipated? What if prospect asks something that your AI system doesn't know answer to? What if the data is missing in our system? What if it doesn't know how to continue? So should it try to continue? Should it say, let's stop now, I will bring a human to help you with this question? But you have to make the decision. What happens if the process goes wrong? And the third question is, what if the AI system can make the right decision? Or if it's not sure that the decision that it's going to do is 100% sure, or even 80% sure, or even 50% sure. You have to make the line between the reliability, between the answers that the AI is going to answer. Are you sure that this is the right answer? If yes, continue. If not, then you have to make a clear rule that if you're not sure, if you don't know the right answer, then say, I don't know, I don't have the right answer. Because as you know, AI systems like to hallucinate. If they don't have enough data, they just figure them out. So you have to be very specific. If you don't have the data, if you cannot make the decision, just say, I cannot make the decision. Let's bring a human into the loop and solve it together. Now you're probably thinking one of two things. Either you're thinking, oh, this is too much work. Do we have to do everything? We can just launch AI system and then see what happens. We can test it and then improve the solution. If you do this, you will get exactly into the trap of 3 clients that I mentioned in the beginning, because they are trying to build something from scratch, and then what they end up doing was fixing unworking AI system. One of the clients, they were spending 60 hours just to fix the whole system. But if they just stopped in the beginning, if they created the architecture and followed the rules that I've mentioned in this video, it would take them for maybe 6 hours. Even if they took 2 days to build this solution, they would still save 5 more days. So even though it's tempting to start immediately, to improve incrementally, make sure that you follow these 5 rules, that you have the core of the architecture right, and then you can do incremental improvements. You can do that, but make sure the base of your whole AI system is working well. Even though your AI system is small, if you don't follow these 5 rules, you will still have the issues that I've mentioned here today. Just because your AI system is smaller, it doesn't mean that you can skip those rules. It just means that your rules will not take you so much time, because it will be much easier to solve them. So this applies even for the small AI systems. Even if you're not building AI Handle, even if you're building AI Assist, still make sure that this is ready. So you can switch it into AI Handle and you have the baseline is ready for your AI Handle system. Because if we come back to the beginning of the video, when I started with the story of these 3 clients that they were trying to build something that we had it working already, they didn't have issues that were unpredictable. Even though it seemed abstract why it doesn't work for them, the whole solution was very specific. It was just solution to very specific needs for any automation, for any system that is reliable, for any IT architecture. So now you have these rules, now you understand how to make sure that your AI systems will work. And I will be really happy if you share with me if you have good experience with your AI systems and what worked well and what didn't. If you like videos like this, follow us on YouTube or subscribe to Future Brief, our newsletter about automation and AI. So see you in the next one.